This is IGN.
Joseph Kahn's exhausting slapdash horror comedy offers diet nostalgia over coherent storytelling. This is your IGN review of Ick by Shannon Miller. If there is one moment of real connection in director and co-writer Joseph Kahn's frenzied horror comedy Ick, it occurs less than 3 minutes before the ending credits begin to roll. After managing to escape a lengthy tentacle monster attack during what ends up being a rather deadly prom, a surviving teen asks, "Are we done now, or..." After nearly an hour and a half of being whisked from half-baked scene to half-baked scene, watching absolute bedlam practically materialize out of thin air, and struggling to recall any details from prior scenes that could help me understand how we arrived to certain seemingly major developments, I found myself asking the very same thing. Early peeks at this nostalgia-fueled alien thriller promised commentary on the dangers of mass apathy shrouded in big laughs and pulpy action, all to the tune of early 2000s radio royalty like All-American Rejects and Wheatus. Instead, Ick skips past any sharp satire with its almost punishing pace, and a broken jukebox approach to sentimentality with needle drops so on the nose that they're rendered ineffective. To make matters worse, the actual storytelling isn't comprehensive enough, nor are the jokes funny enough to save any of it with memorable characters or any sort of payoff at the end. Ick follows, or more accurately attempts to keep up with, Hank Wallace, played by Brandon Routh, a former high school football star who endures a rather lengthy rough patch between his teen years and middle-aged adulthood, when he eventually becomes a science teacher at his old high school. This rough patch, I must add, is fully documented in a whirlwind montage that crams far too much backstory in the almost 8 minutes before the title card even appears. The wall-to-wall whooshing quick cuts feel visually reminiscent of Shaun of the Dead or Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where Ralph also appeared in a funny cameo. But unlike those instances, where speedy cuts were only sparsely and strategically used as scene transitions, this panicky pacing carries on throughout the entirety of Ick. It's consistently overwhelming, downright sloppy in places, and there doesn't appear to be a good enough reason for the breakneck tempo in the first place. It doesn't effectively enhance the story's comedic or frightening qualities. It does, however, add to the confusion by trying to pack more into 90 minutes than that time frame can accommodate, making the whole ordeal feel much longer than it actually is. Ick's younger cast, led by Melina Polly Weissman as the Gen Z voice of reason, Grace, largely exists to lampoon #wokeness. Some of it works, like in the case of Harrison Cohn's Dylan, who weaponizes his feigned social awareness to get away with being a creep and a bully. Beyond that, the angle doesn't yield any creative jokes or insights that might have at least made the pokes at basic empathy worth it. Even Grace's supposed twist of a storyline feels like a haphazardly inserted afterthought amongst the mayhem that goes nowhere. As a horror comedy, it commits the sin of not being remotely haunting enough to make for a decent horror movie, or anywhere near funny enough to be a good comedy. Joseph Kahn's direction whizzes through scenes at such a dizzying pace that the story of the Ick monster makes no sense, and nothing is granted room to develop, leaving us with almost invisible stakes other than which forgettable characters survive. Ralph offers glimpses of a decent performance, but those are squandered by sloppy editing, while the rest of the cast isn't given an opportunity to showcase much potential in the first place. Even the nostalgic 2000s setting feels more like bait with an uninspired soundtrack than a thoughtfully deployed storytelling device. Ick's IGN score? 3 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest Ick updates, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.